Hello and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. About a month exams in times not normal as the world battles a novel virus. Today, senior high school students finished their papers amid uncertainty over who goes home and who stays behind. We have been doing some checks and will update you shortly. Also, as usual, we go across the country as our correspondent updates us on what the major news items covered in their areas over the week are. It's been a week of political campaigns, tracking government promises, and unfortunately, lynching of people accused of being witches. Talk to me if you are in any of these areas on 0540109009. Also coming up, Ghana Health Service latest updates indicate the country is nearing effective containment of COVID-19 as the data shows significant reduction in active cases and new infections. In its latest updates, the service says active cases dropped below the 1,000 cases, the lowest in months. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144, and on YouTube. You know we're streaming live. We're also streaming live on Facebook. You can send me a message on 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andorpia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Welcome. I'll take you through the details of those stories. Now, Ghana is nearing effective containment of COVID-19 as latest data supplied by the Ghana Health Service reveals significant reduction in active cases and new infections. In its latest update, the service says active cases have dropped below the 1,000 case mark to 856, the lowest in months. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, reports.
The data reveals 4 new deaths, bringing the death toll to 280. But there is some good news about the country's battle with SARS-CoV-2. Positivity rate dropped from 65% at the start of August to 10% on September 1, signaling the country's strategy may be working. Only 55 positive cases were reported from the labs in the last update, one of the lowest recorded in many weeks. But it takes Ghana's case count to 44,713. Of this number, as many as 97.5% of patients have recovered. So far, 4 of the 16 regions are without any active case, whilst others are reporting single or double-digit figures. Only 3 regions, Greater Accra, Central and Ashanti, have active cases above 100. It may still not be time to rejoice yet, as further easing of the restrictions could trigger a second wave. The reopening of the country's international airports and the possible start of political rallies all point to risks requiring significant attention.
Risks requiring significant attention, as Fred puts it. Dr. John Amwese is a lecturer of the Global Health Department, School of Public Health, KNUST, and leader, Global Health and Infectious Disease Research Group. He's joining me right now so we can talk briefly about this. Doc, thank you so much. It's been a while. I trust you're well. I'm trusting that you can hear me. I can't hear you. I think your mute button.
Airport is open, or our borders are open.
Okay, I think you are muted. So if you can unmute for me, I just want to first of all find out what you make of the new or the latest figures we're getting from the Ghana Health Service.
We have no idea whether the airport there is open or not.
Okay, you. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me, Doc? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
I'll go ahead and answer your question if that's all right.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Great. No, so regarding the numbers we're seeing, you're perfectly right in stating that it's looking better than it was before. That's how I like to put it. I'll tell you the reason why. You made reference to positivity rate, and this is a good way of putting it. And what the positivity rate means is how many out of, or what proportion out of those that you're testing are positive, right? This is a little different from what we call the incidence rate. But whatever be the case, we can conclude fairly accurately that the rate of the infection seems to be going down, or the number of positives seems to be going down. What ideally we should be doing, which I've maintained over the past couple of months, is to be carrying out regular surveys, what we call sort of sentinel kind of surveys, to really measure the rate at which the infection is spreading, so that when the rate of decline, or if there's a decline in the spread, you can confidently say there's a decline in the rate of spread. What we are seeing now is a decline in the proportion of positives, and this is directly related to how much testing we are doing. You recall that we used to be doing a lot of contact tracing, testing a lot more samples, but now we're not doing all that contact tracing as much as we used to, as was announced by the Ghana Health Service. And we're also only testing people who come to the hospital and say they are sick. So this is not to say the positivity rate is false or not reliable, but I'm just pointing out that it may not necessarily reflect the rate of spread of the disease. Now, what's more important to me is perhaps the hospitalization rate and the death rate. And it's clear that we have less people admitted with COVID-19 in our facilities. This is undeniable because the beds are empty. We also have a lower death rate, all right? So with these two, the hospitalization rate and the death rate, I could say that things are looking better than they are before. I would not harp so much on the positivity rate as I would on the infection rate or the incidence rate, and then also the hospitalization rate and the death rate.
That makes perfect sense. But then we've also opened up our borders. And I did hear this argument, by the way. I have no way of verifying it, and I probably put it to you if you can, that there are different strains apparently of this virus, and that it has its own character that applies geographically. And so now that we've opened up our borders, especially we're allowing air travels, that we could actually be inviting different kinds of strain into our system.
No, I think that's a really great question, and certainly an important consideration. In recent communications and publications, it's clear that there are a couple of strains of the SARS-CoV-2. In fact, the most recent information on this is telling us about 6 different strains of the SARS-CoV-2. Well, I'm not a virologist myself, and really in a forum like this, it's not so important to go into the details of what strains mean. But all this means is that certain genetic material, which forms part of the virus, may be changing from place to place. This may or may not change how infectious disease is, may or may not change how much it causes severe disease. In fact, for the new strain that was detected in Southeast Asia, particularly Hong Kong, it's suggesting that the strain is causing less severe disease, but is not having any change in the way the disease spreads. We do not know as of yet exactly how things are going to pan out, but generally, all these SARS-CoV-2 strains seem to be highly optimized for affecting humans. I mean, it's like a specialized weapon against humanity, if I put it that way. Now, that being said, once we open up, it's very clear that we are likely to be inviting more strains, and that is if we are not able to quickly catch those who come in. And this is why it's so important that that net, which we use to sieve those who come in, be it via our air or land borders, is as tight as possible, so that to the barest minimum, we reduce people getting into the population without being first detected, and treated and being free of the virus before being released in the population. I can only trust and hope that with what we see so far, with the 70+ booths at the Kodakat, I was going to say teaching hospital, but the Kodakat Airport, and doing the antigen testing, and then going ahead to do the PCR test for those who turn out to be positive for the antigen. I think that sounds like a pretty, tight arrangement, and we can only be hopeful that we will not miss anyone, and we'll keep ourselves free to a large extent from strains that may change our story, which is not looking bad at all right now.
Well, Doc, I say a very big thanks to you, and I probably leave it there. But the point that Fred raises in the report he put together was that there are things that we need to do. And you've rightly mentioned the 70 booths that we have at the airport. Do you, from your perspective, think that that's enough to do what we're supposed to do?
Well, what I can speak to is the kinds of testing that we're doing. You're doing an antigen-based test, and then what this means is that you're trying to detect the presence of what we call an antigen, which is present in the virus, which is a clear evidence of an active infection. And then for those who are positive for an antigen, you go ahead to do a PCR test, which I believe our colleagues in Noguchi and others here, hopefully at KCCR also will be doing. That arrangement is pretty standard. Nobody's doing anything better than that all over the world. But as to whether it's enough, it's really a function of the rate at which people are entering into the country, the numbers of flights that are coming in, and how much the amount of time they're going to spend at the airport. And this really is a calculation that can be made by anyone who is conversant with the numbers who come in. 70 sounds like a good number, but I'm really not in a position to say, as a matter of fact, that this is enough. It's also a function of how much time we intend for someone to spend right from when they arrive, when the plane docks, and then when they get off and get out of the airport. So it's all a function of what we have estimated.
And finally, people have said that we should have been a bit selective with this intervention, that we should have been selective with the countries from which we admit people. Do you think that makes sense?
Well, as it is, it's very difficult to say one should be selective, because you have Ghanaian nationals who've been stuck abroad for quite a while. In fact, there's been more Ghanaians stuck in Africa than even in North America or Europe. And people transit through all kinds of places. I think once the net is not porous, it doesn't really change much by putting restrictions on which countries people are coming from. The focus should be on catching them quickly and early, treating them, making sure they don't get into the population and spread the disease.
And I certainly hope we do. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Dr. John Amoise is a lecturer at the KNUST, sharing his perspective on the new data released by the Ghana Health Service as far as our performance dealing with coronavirus. They say there is a significant drop. And he's been explaining further, saying that, well, there is a drop in hospitalization, there is a drop in the rate of infection, but the positivity rate is still something we can have a conversation about. So there's a positivity rate versus incident rate. Well, we're 8 months into the COVID-19. Can you believe that? And people may be tired and yearning to get on with their lives, but no country can just pretend that the pandemic is over. Those are the words of WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus on his latest COVID update. He also talks about 4 things countries can do to curb the pandemic and avoid further lockdowns.
8 months into the pandemic, we understand that people are tired and yearn to get on with their lives. At the same time, no country can just pretend the pandemic is over. We believe there are 4 essential things that all countries, communities, and individuals must focus on to take control. First, prevent amplifying events. In many countries, we have seen explosive outbreaks linked to gatherings of people at stadiums, nightclubs, places of worship, and in other crowds. Second, reduce deaths by protecting vulnerable groups, including older people, those with underlying conditions, and essential workers. Third, individuals must play their part by taking the measures we know work to protect themselves and others. Stay at least 1 meter away from others. Clean your hands regularly. Practice respiratory etiquette and wear a mask. Avoid the 3 C's: closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact settings. And fourth, governments must take tailored actions to find, isolate, test, and care for cases, and trace and quarantine contacts. And above all, national unity and global solidarity are essential. This virus thrives when we are divided. When we are united, we can defeat it.
Well, let's just say here in Ghana, the coronavirus buzz seems to have died down a bit since March. But in Germany, some 38,000 people hit the street against government and its handling of the pandemic. In fact, some far-right extremists tried to storm the parliament building, leading to a nationwide conversation on such protest in a pandemic. I had a conversation with correspondent Thomas Sparrow with our partners DW on Wednesday.
Was actually there at the protest on Saturday in Berlin, where, as you pointed, police estimated that around 38,000 people were there. It's definitely a sort of mixed bag of protesters who were there on Saturday in Berlin, from anti-vaxxers to people who believed in conspiracy theories, from parents with children who were there to oppose the German government and its handling of the coronavirus pandemic, and also, as you also stressed, far-right groups which then later in the day attempted to storm the German parliament. We can go into those details in a second, but I would say that if something joins all these people, if all these people have something in common, is the fact that they reject the way the German government has been dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, because they believe that those decisions by the German government actually infringe on their rights and reduces their freedoms, and they believe that what the German government has been doing is certainly not proportional. I was talking to some of the people there on Saturday. Many believe that the coronavirus pandemic is actually a hoax, is fake, and those who say that coronavirus does exist, that the virus is present, they say that it is being treated too much, basically, that they're overstating the dangers. But again, it was an eclectic mix of people there in Berlin on Saturday, and I think, Gifty, it's important also to mention that they are a minority. They're a very loud minority, but in Germany they are still a minority. If you look at various polls in the country, a vast majority of Germans either believe that what the government has been doing is correct, or they even think that more should be done to deal with the coronavirus pandemic, for example, when it comes to the economic impact of the pandemic here in this country. So that gives you a general overview of what was happening here on Saturday. And as I already pointed out, there was, at the end of the day on Saturday, an attempt by a group of far-right extremists who were trying to co-opt the protest in general to try and storm the German parliament, which has led to German politicians to actually criticize that very strongly.
Let me just jump in there.
Attack on German democracy.
Let me just jump in there, Thomas. So different people with different expectations, different concerns. But let's focus a bit more on the far-right group that you just mentioned. Give us an idea what exactly happened when they tried to storm the German parliament.
There are different groups, so it's not just one far-right extreme group, but some of the flags that those people were waving when they attempted to storm parliament were Germany's imperial flags, and this is a flag that's being used by far-right groups, and in particular by a group called the Reichsbürger, or Citizens of the Reich. They believe that the German Empire still exists in some way or another. In other words, they deny the existence of the German Federal Republic, so Germany as it is today. They have their own passports. They believe that their private property is as an independent establishment, and they don't pay taxes or they don't pay fines. They are being followed very closely by German authorities, in fact, for various years now. And earlier this year, German authorities also banned a faction of this group because they obviously believe that they could pose a threat to the German constitution in a way that for unconstitutional activities. So again, this event on Saturday Saturday. By the way, it was prevented by police, so they did not storm the parliament. They just broke some police cordon and then climbed up the external steps of the Reichstag. But German authorities are particularly concerned about what this means and the symbolism of all this. You may know, or you have seen probably, the German Reichstag building with the famous dome. This was a building that was burnt down in 1933 by the Nazis, because the Nazis back then wanted to get rid of what was left of German democracy. Many decades later, it was also a very important symbol of German reunification. And today it is the seat, the main seat of the German parliament, and also a place where, for example, international tourists can understand more about how Germany works and the political system here. So you can understand the symbolism, the importance of this building, and why German authorities are shocked by the attempt.
Talking about German authorities, the German president has called this an attack on democracy. And you have been covering the political aftermath of these protests. How are politicians reacting to these protests generally?
So the German president, he is seen as the moral compass here. He was very quick to react and say that it was an unbearable attack on the heart of Germany's democracy. Chancellor Angela Merkel also reacted to that, and other politicians as well stressed that this was certainly a difficult day for Germany and a difficult day for German democracy. A rather different, nuanced view came from the far right, from the AfD. That's the main opposition party here in Parliament. We saw some politicians of the AfD actually attending the protest, and many voters of the AfD were also there waving flags or with stickers or so on, saying that they were in favor of the AfD. And although the AfD criticized the attempt to storm the parliament, politicians did mention that the grievances, the reasons why people went to the streets, were legitimate, and as such, one high-ranking politician from the far right said it was a good day for Germany. So that gives you an idea of the debate here in this country. But apart from the AfD, all other parties in Germany and all the way up to the German president were extremely critical of that attempt, saying again that it was an attack on German democracy and that is something that cannot happen in this country.
Finally, Thomas, I was going to ask about whether or not these protests are widespread, but you did indicate that they are a loud minority. So they have that support at that level. But what does this mean for the fight against the pandemic going forward?
It is particularly interesting that this comes at a time when Germany is registering an increase in the number of coronavirus cases, around 1,500 a day. This is not much compared to other countries around the world, but for Germany, it did represent in the last few days the highest numbers since the end of April or the beginning of May, and that's why authorities were particularly concerned about that increase and about the potential impact of such a protest when it comes to public health in this country. There was a legal battle to try and ban the protest, considering that it would be a risk on public health. In the end, a court decided that the protest could go ahead as long as people complied with social distancing. People did not comply with social distancing. People were not wearing masks at the protest, in part because they simply don't believe that they have to wear masks or they have to keep social distancing if they don't even believe in the pandemic as a whole. So that's why police, for example, decided to disband the protest, to ban the protest. On Saturday, I actually saw some people being detained there and police using megaphones to tell people to leave the protest because it was disbanded, because they were simply not keeping to those rules. Some of the protesters have vowed to continue protesting even if necessary on a daily basis, and there is now a big debate on the country as to whether these kinds of protests should be allowed or banned completely. Some people believe that a red line was crossed, but there is a lot of concern in this country, in particular, as I already stressed, Kifty, because there has been an increase in the number of coronavirus cases in the last few weeks.
Hopefully next time we talk, we'll have a look at, you know, how the numbers are growing in Germany. Does it mean that is it just because of more testing? Because here in Ghana, the numbers have reduced significantly, but that's also because we're not testing as much as we were back in March. But Thomas, thank you very much for these updates and for bringing us up to speed on what's happening in that part of the world. That's our weekly crossover. I had that conversation with Thomas over on Wednesday. I almost said over the weekend. This is still The Pulse with me, Gifty and Dopia. Why don't we take a break here? When I return, I'll tell you more, because we'll be going across the country with our correspondents. They'll be updating us on what the major news items that they've covered in their areas are. It's been a week of political campaigns, tracking government promises, and unfortunately the lynching of people accused of being witches. Now I want you to talk to me if you are in any of these areas. The number is 0540109009. I also have a conversation with the NSMQ team. The female, you know, they didn't make it, but yeah, some of them were outstanding. We'll be talking to two of them here on the show. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. And it's that time of the show where we hear from our correspondent. This week has been heavy on the campaign trail, with the two major political parties touring different parts of the country to convince voters ahead of the polls. We've also been tracking government's infrastructure website, where we brought to you stories from communities where these projects were either non-existent or ongoing. We'll touch base with all the reporters who brought us these stories. Let's start with the Bagre Dam. We begin from the Upper East region, where torrential rain coupled with the spillage of the Bagre Dam destroyed farmlands in the region, where here are some visuals from the affected communities.
I am a maize farmer. And for that matter, maize, I'm a farmer. I farm so many variety of crops, such as maize, rice, millet, and I also rear animals such as hens and all that. And so you can see how our maize have been gotten spoiled. They are all rotten because of the what? This flood. So this one we are appealing to people who will come and assist us in order to be able to pay our loans, because we went to bank for the loans. We also contacted some people to help us. We equally use our other things to sell to invest in our farms, and now all is gone because of this flood. And we are appealing to people to come and then assist us in order to repay our loan. Otherwise, we have nowhere to go. So it's our plea that governments will do something about it to save the situation. Otherwise, we are in the hot waters now.
It is sad that this is how our feed ends every year as farmers of Timonde. As you can see, my maize are not fully ripe for harvesting, but I have to, because if I don't do that, that will be the end of my hope for the farming season. As the Holy Bible says, where your treasure lies, that's where your heart lies. And so do we, the farmers of Timonde. This is the only fertile land we have. And though we have been cautioned by NADMO and other organizations not to farm near the river bank, but what can we do? We cannot live in hunger, because that's the only source of our livelihood. We don't only farm maize, we farm rice and groundnut. As you can see, all our groundnut we farm for the season have been submerged in the water. All the rice we farmed this year have also been swept away by the water. It's unfortunate, but what can we do? We are hoping that something better will be done from government and all meaningful organizations to help. I must acknowledge that this is a yearly event we do. Every year, TV3, they are doing their good job. They'll come around, they take coverage of what is happening. NADMO will also respond. Unfortunately for us, the response is not always as equal as the damage that the water causes with the people of Timonde, and that is very bad. We were told that the multi-purpose Kwalbu dam that is under construction would go a long way to help us. But 4 years is so long, because we must continue farming. That would be against the directive of NASMO and all those who wish us well as a community. So we are begging whoever will come to our aid to help. I know I'm not the only farmer. We have over 500 farmers in this community farming various crops, food crops. We farm maize, we farm rice, we farm groundnut, we farm soya beans, because this is the most fertile land you can find in the Upper East region. And we, the people of Timonde, will not leave anything unturned not to farm there, except there is a meaningful alternative to help us with our livelihood.
So let's get to Albert's story. He's been the man on the beat for us. Hello, Albert. Albert, you told the story in the course of the week. How are the residents there coping? Hello, Albert, can you hear me? Do you hear me, Albert? Okay, it looks like there's a challenge with Albert's audio. We'll get back to it later. It's a very familiar sound I hear there, and it's very exciting to hear, I must say. We'll get back to Albert, sorry, to tell us how the people are coping right there. But let's head to the Oti region, where we are learning that the Roads and Highways Minister cast sought for the deplorable roads in Ketekrachi to begin. Take a look at this report, and we will get the update from Peter Seno, who joins us with the very latest.
The Oti Regional Minister, Kwesi Osuebo, at a press conference on 3rd January 2020 said Ketekrachi town roads are part of critical roads in the region for which procurement process have been completed.
Several other motor roads in the region have been captured as critical roads, and their procurement processes for construction have been completed. These roads include Rajasikan, Ketekrachi town roads, Davai town roads, and several feeder roads in the region.
6 months on, residents are yet to see any construction work on the town roads. Residents say they have been coping with dusty pothole-ridden, bone-tweaking town roads for years now. Some residents and road users have been speaking to JoyNews. The nature of the road disturbs pregnant women anytime we pick them. The engine of the motor also breaks down frequently, and I spend on it. The road is bad. By the time you get to the hospital with a sick person, the condition is worsened.
The running is
and son I say how to say maybe a mommy and the road is bad. It disturbs us as parents and mothers. We are asking government to help fix the road for us. How are the bad roads affecting businesses in this COVID-19 era? Here is Alhaji Abdul Rahman, the owner of this tailoring shop just by the road. His machine, fabrics, and clothes of customers get dusty all the time.
It's not good.
It's not good. But you are a tailor.
Yeah.
How is it affecting you here?
It's affecting me much.
How?
And always, dust has been spoiling dresses. When I sew dust, do spoil there.
And so how do your customers, do they complain?
They complain a lot. They complain a lot.
And this clothing shop.
See what I'm selling here. In case if any long vehicle pass here right now, you can see that the dust, it will just disturbing us here. And we can't do anything to protect it. We can't go and fetch water to,
pour on the ground.
Yeah, so we are pleading that the government should come and check how our road got.
Hastings Anani is the president of Krachi Youth Association. He says they are running out of patience, adding fixing the road or not will determine who gets their vote in the December polls.
Whoever is questioning regarding this will tell you that this is one of our major problems. Because when the cars move, what do we see? The whole town is covered with dust.
Peter joins us via Zoom. Peter, has there been any development since you told the story? Okay, it looks like Peter just got disconnected on me, but we'll certainly try and get Peter. But let's see if Albert is ready for me. Hi, Albert, are you there? Can you hear me now? Hello, Albert? Well, Albert, sorry, brought us a story about the Bagre Dam spillage, and Albert is joining me to give us an update on that. Hi, Albert. How are the people coping? Okay, yeah, you can always expect some of these things. Essentially, we're looking at the stories that our correspondents covered for us over the week, and they're bringing us updates on what has been happening so far after they told the story. As you know, it's been a very thick moment on election campaigns Albert is back on his seat. Albert, tell me, how are the people coping? Albert, how are the people coping? Yeah, it does get frustrating sometimes like that. I'm sure that Albert can't hear me. He obviously seems like he's looking at me. But let's listen to the Roads Minister. That's going back to the Oti region and what's been happening in the Oti region. We'll get Albert to reconnect with us. Take a look.
That Nanda Adodankwa Kufuado, all these newly created regions, the 6 of you, you will be brought up to speed in terms of development. His Excellency the President has directed all of us, all his ministers, particularly the infrastructure ministers, say yes, or now the 6 newly created regions are infrastructure, Obia sector, up to be at par with the rest of the regions in this country. And Nadaruma, Mia Odimejna ho, Unyame ni President Nadaruma, Odimejna ho said, Minshre Aquine Hunsem Emanuno. Yena, including myself, you're the president, and she said, no, and a Juma.
As a Roads Minister there, Peter Seno joins me from the region where the minister just spoke. Hello, Peter. Right, Peter, exactly. I see you and I hear you now. So, Peter, go ahead and tell us. Peter, go ahead and tell us what has been the latest development since you told this story. Peter, do you hear me? I hope so. Hi, Peter. I do see you. Go ahead and tell us what the latest is on that story of bad roads. We've seen that the minister has been there today. Tell us more. What's the latest?
Well, as we speak now, sword had been cut for the construction of 15-kilometer town roads in the KJB township, and then 10 of which is going to be asphalted as we speak, and then the 5 of it will be double layer bitumen surfacing. But the minister said that is going to be the beginning of road construction in the Karachi township, and more is yet to come. What the minister also did say is that there's going to be a construction of bridge across from Karachi to Adarsu. From Adarsu, you can cross to Bono region, and then Bono and then the Hafo regions, and then between the Dambai and then the Karachi section, that is the Oti River, there's going to be another construction of a bridge. So 2 bridges have been promised the people of Karachi, one to Adarsu and one between Dambai and Karachi. And so residents have been ecstatic, but they have been very happy about the development so far, that at long last, you know, just yesterday we brought you the report of the deplorable nature of township, Karachi Township road. In fact, they have been happy that at last something is going to be happening in the Karachi Township, that the roads in there is going to be seeing some, facelift, and that they are very happy about the development.
Peter, thank you for that update, and sincere apologies to all our viewers, for the hitches we're having here and there. But let me connect with Albert Sori. Albert Sori is in the Upper East region. Albert has been following up on the Bagre Dam for us. Hi, Albert. I see you. I hope you hear me. How are the people coping over there?
Yes, Gifty. So it's a really, distressing situation for most of the farmers, especially those who are along the banks of the White Volta Lake. With the issue of Bagre spillage and these farmers, the only thing they can do every year is to count on their luck, which is to hope that rains don't come so much so that the dam has to be spilled to the extent to which it has been spilled this time around. Now, over the years, what NADMO has always been trying to do is to convince them not to cultivate, their crops along those lands that are close to the lake. But the issue also is that for most of these farmers, they do not have any other option. They do not have lands anywhere else. And so they keep coming back there to, grow their crops and hope that the rains don't come. Now, for others, what they usually would do is to start very early so that by the time it gets to this part of the year, they would have harvested what they have there. And so that is the situation. But this year, what has happened is that the dam was actually spilled, I think 2 Fridays ago, more than 2 weeks ago, when the spillage started. At that time, the rains had not come heavily in this part of the country yet. So they were spilling the dam for almost a week and nothing had happened to their crops. But over the last 1 week, we've had the rains come consistently for so many days. And that has compounded the situation. And now these farmers, those of them in the Boko West area, the Talensi areas as well, who are close to the White Volta, have had their crops submerged in the water.
Albert, thank you very much. Next time we come to you, we'll certainly be getting more on what government said it was doing about that dam. There was some intervention going on there. We'll find out what has become of it. But let's head to the Upper West region quickly. We get an update on the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, who has been touring the region. Mind you, we also had the vice president touring the parts of the northern region. But Rafiq is joining me. He's been following Mr. Mahama. Rafiq, what can you report? What's the latest?
As we speak now, the former President John Dramani Mahama is now heading to and which is located somehow the middle of the Upper West region. He's been here Tuesday night. On Wednesday, he started his campaign tour of the Upper West region. But first following on the overlord of the Wala Kingdom, now for Sene City Pelfu. He also went to some suburbs and talk about the Yarana, the regional chief imam, and also the standards for rolling out of the municipality. One thing that the former president has been talking about has to do with abandoned projects. Remember, in 2016, John Dramani Mahama said that he was going to give the University for Development Studies an autonomous status, and because of that, several projects were sent to University for Development Studies, awarded to contractors to work on hostels and also other facilities at the work campus of the university. And then he's saying that he's really worried and lamenting about the issue that the former president for now is saying that those projects has been installed. He's saying that should he be given a nod in 2020, is going to fix those projects. We also talk about the dilapidated, deplorable nature of the road between Wa, Tumu, and then Borga. And then he's saying that that road is in bad condition. Should he be given a nod again, he will give the Upper West region some kind of a first-class road on that particular project. These are the things that are happening in the Upper West region. And so, but I can tell you that the turn-up in the Upper West region is massive. Wherever John Dramani Mahama goes, the people will love to see him. And even some of the places, they have to give a blockade and insisted that he has to address them. And even this morning, starting the journey yesterday around 9 a.m. in the one municipality, and then ending around Zidi in the Sasala West. I can tell you that they came around, or the team came around this morning around 6 a.m. So for them, it was a good thing for them.
Rafiq, thank you so much for that update. As you can see, Rafiq is still on the road. So, yeah, he's still on the road. Rafiq Salam there, coming to us all the way from Wa, from our correspondent here on the polls. Well, we're we're barely 4 days away from the start of the 2020 National Science and Maths Quiz, and certainly I'll be talking to some of the those who went through it last year. We've spoken to about the first team the team of men who won the guys who won it, the champions. We've spoken to them this week. I'll be talking to some of the ladies. Take a look at a recap.
A biological process that occurs in both plant and animal worlds. Nanaya.
Respiration.
No. I consist of several sub-processes. In mammals, my first part begins in the germinal epithelium, which gives rise to the development of ovarian follicles. That is the functional unit of the ovary. In plants, I occur inside the female gametophyte. Dion.
Oogenesis.
You're right. At the end of the contest, here are the final scores. Prempeh College has 27 points. Achimota School has 49 points. Wesley Girls High School has 57 points. Best of all, I'll be seeing you in the semi-finals. Congratulations.
So that's a very quick recap for you on what's been happening. Well, guess what? I have some of the girls here with me in the studio. We're barely 4 days from the start of that 2020 National Science and Maths quiz. And as you know, more girls are in school today than ever before. But they do not always have the same opportunities as boys tend to have when it comes to completing and benefiting from education of their choice. So too many girls are held back by biases, social norms, expectations, influencing the quality of education that they receive and the subjects that they study. On the pulse today, we're going to have an all-girls conversation, at least we'll try and make it that, on how to turn the tides and get more ladies into science, technology, engineering, mathematics. In the studio, I have Wesley Girls High School semi-finalist who put up an incredible performance at the 2019 National Science and Maths quiz, beating two-time champions Achimota School and four-time champions Prempeh College at the quarterfinals. My studio guest today, Vera Sena Aute. She's a first-year medical student at the University of Ghana. Vera, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay. I also have here in the studio Nkunim Phobia Amon Mensah. I hope I got the phobia very well. First-year medical student at the University of Ghana as well. Nkunim, did I get the phobia well?
Yes, please.
I did. You're welcome too.
Thank you.
So how are you ladies doing? How has it been like? Any of you can start. It's been great. Yeah. Okay, we'll break it down. What does great even mean? I think we'll be having someone else joining us via Zoom. My team will just alert me as and when we have that person. Let me start with you, Vera. Vera, yeah. What is your story? I spoke to the guys from St. Augustine's College, and some of them told me where they're coming from. You know, they're junior high school before they go to. What's your story? What's the journey to Weke?
Okay, so I attended Angela Catholic School.
Okay.
For my junior high school experience, and then I went to Wesley Girls High School, and then we wrote an exam to join the National Science and Math quiz team.
Okay.
When we were in Form 1.
How were you chosen?
We wrote an exam.
Yeah, I mean, how did you just go and say, hey, I can do this, put me on the list?
Oh no, it was a choice. So if you think you're capable of writing the exam, you go.
Okay.
And then they called the best 10 to join the team.
So you wrote the exams and you were part of the best 10?
Yes.
Okay. I need you ladies to speak up for me, otherwise they'll say the guys beat you when they came on the show. So speak up for me. So Nkunim, what's your story?
I attended University of Ghana Basic School for my basic education before coming to Wesley Girls High School. And then I also took the exam. So we were told that if you feel like you can do it, you can join the team, then come and write the exam and let's see what you can offer.
Okay, but I hear that at Wegehe, they say that those of you who study science, they treat you differently from my sister went to Wegehe and she didn't really like this. So they have to carry tables and desks for you, those of you who do science and all. And they call you something, I've forgotten. Is it the Bright? Umbrella. Yes. How do you, so do you just write the exams and get to be a part of those people? Because those people are always learning and the other girls are always doing the work for you on campus. How do you become a part of the Umbrella apart from is it just the exams or is there a different way that you can join?
Well, it's primarily the exam.
The exam. Okay. Let's talk about the National Science and Maths quiz. You got there. This is most of the schools have a lot of boys, but you are girls, and most of us here were rooting for you. I mean, I was because my sister went to Wegehe, but it must have been a bit intimidating, was it? Tell us, what was going through your mind?
It was a bit intimidating.
A bit or intimidating?
A bit.
A bit, okay.
Yeah, because we went with the mindset of winning. We're not focusing on what the crowd was seeing or what the boys were seeing, so yeah.
Okay, so but then it wasn't intimidating, was it?
No.
It wasn't?
No,
okay,
it wasn't.
How about you, Nkunim?
Well, we were confident because we wanted to show the world that girls are also capable of doing what boys can do, so we were in to win it. But then
are you saying that because it's the right thing to say, or you really mean it? I mean, pour out your heart. Don't worry about those who are watching or listening. Just pour out your heart and be sincere. Were you afraid? Was there a bit of fear?
Okay, for our semi-final contest. So
for the semi-finals, let's talk about that one. There was a bit of fear.
Yeah.
Was it because of what? Because the boys there were more than the girls there, or because there were a lot of boys cheering up the boys, or you felt like the boys knew better than you did?
I think it was a mixture of everything because we're meeting St. Peter's and then I've forgotten the Tepa, yes.
St. Peter's and Tepa?
Yes.
So you were afraid because they were boys and there's a perception that boys know better?
Well, we didn't know how well they had prepared because they are not in our region, so we didn't know their strength.
Okay.
So we didn't know how to, we didn't know how we could get them. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So then our strategy was what we always use.
The strategy. Do you want to share the strategy? The boys didn't.
No, we won't share.
Because the boys didn't. Because the boys didn't. Okay. So at the point where you were, it was made clear to you that this is the end of the road for you. How are you feeling? I need you to be very practical. Speak out for me so that the girls who are listening to you can hear you and be honest and open. No, don't be afraid of anything. So how did it feel?
Okay, so we were down because we expected to get to the finals, but where we had come from and where we had gotten to, we felt proud because our school had, we usually get to the quarterfinal stage. So we being at the semi-final stage was a plus in itself, so we're not really down, but
okay, I'm glad to hear that. How did you feel? I would have cried. Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
Okay, how did you feel?
Okay, I felt down and sad because I don't know what people were thinking about Tepa, but because they beat us, it made it look like, oh, you sat there for Tepa to beat you and all kinds of things. So
okay, so Tepa, so I went to Ashaiman Secondary School, so I'm sure that if you were, so you were talking about the perception that people have about Tepa. So it's not your typical kind of Ogasco, Infantipim, so you were down because Tepa beat you.
Well, not because people will say that we are allowed.
You're allowed Tepa to beat you.
Yes.
But sometimes, you can't just, anyway, don't mind the school sometimes. Let's talk about your experience at the moment. Right now, you are studying, Vera, you are a first-year medical student at the University of Ghana, Legon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you are as well in Kunim. And then one of your colleagues will be joining us, Dion. Dion Marie Dakumante is a first-year BSc Computer Science student at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. MIT is a very prestigious school, I must say. Dion, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just talking to two of your friends here, Vera and Nkunim, and they've been taking us through their journey. What's your story? Where did you come from before Wegehe?
I attended Mary Mother of Good Counsel School.
Is it a Montessori?
No, it's a Catholic school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. And then you went to Wegehe and you also just said, okay, let me write the exams, and you became what, Brilla?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. I was just asking them about the experience when they got kicked out. When you met Tepa and Co. How are you feeling?
Oh, I was actually disappointed. We wanted to win, but
you couldn't win.
I guess.
Okay. Well, right now you are at MIT.
I guess it wasn't our year.
It wasn't your year. I'll take your thoughts. I have a few minutes to wrap this up, but I'll try and take as much as possible information that I can. Let's talk about your experience. I was just going to get onto that with your colleagues here. MIT, has that always been your choice? How did you end up there?
Oh, I wrote SATs last year and I applied last year.
Yeah, that has always been your choice?
Yeah, I've always wanted to go there, so luckily I was accepted.
Okay, so you're studying computer science, BSc Computer Science. What is it you are looking to end up doing?
I'm actually not sure yet. But there are two areas that I have general interest in. So I hope that by the time I graduate, I'll be sure of what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'll be sure. Yeah.
It's okay. But some of us still don't know what we want to do with our lives yet, even at this age. So it's okay. So tell me, what's the end game for you? Let me start with you, Nkunim. What are you heading towards? What exactly? A doctor? Looks like that's the path.
Yes, please. I'm yet to decide where I want to specialize.
Okay. Pediatrics?
I haven't picked
yet. You haven't? Okay. How about you?
Same.
You haven't decided yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. Well, you'll figure it out. Like I'm saying, some of us are still figuring out what we really want to do with our lives. So you figure it out. But the NSMQ we're 4 days away from it. Talk to those who are going to be competing, not just for Wegehe, but for any other schools. Let me start with you, Dion. Okay. So the question is, we're barely 4 days to the NSMQ. What advice do you have for those who will be competing, not just from your school, but from any other school? What should they know from your experience?
I think confidence is really important because you can. I believe knowledge is not enough to succeed in this competition because you can know, but if you are not confident enough to bring forth your answer, you would end up losing. So I think people should be confident in their answers and they shouldn't be scared to take risks because taking risks is part of what it's
part of the game.
It's actually the foundation of the game.
Okay.
Everybody is a so yeah.
So take a risk, and even if you know, you might know it, but if you lack the confidence to speak up or to say what you know, you might come out short. Okay, interesting. Vera, what's your advice? Since you are not sharing your strategy, what advice will you give to the Brilla students who will be standing for Wegehe and those who are coming from Tepa, etc.?
Okay, as Dion said, they should take risks. Because sometimes you have an answer, but you're not sure. You don't know whether to press the bell. once you take the risk and your answer is correct, you have gotten the mark. But if you don't take the risk, you just be sitting down there, someone will come in,
press the bell and go. But if you press the bell and you get it wrong, sometimes you lose some marks.
Sometimes you lose marks, but it's not every stage of the competition where you lose marks. Yeah.
So it's all about the strategy, which you guys are not sharing. How about you, Nkunim? What advice would you give to? You see, there's still a lot of men. Augusto will be coming, you know, Kojo Yang-sin and my colleagues, they've been rubbing their shoulders all over the place, you know, so they are the champions now. There are still a lot of men, and people feel that women are not really pulling up their weights, but I know it's not really the truth. What do you tell, especially the ladies who will be contesting this year?
I think that they should believe in themselves, and even when they are sitting on stage and things are not going well at the start, they shouldn't allow the booing from the crowd. Like, there's so many men coming, and it can make you confused, so they should relax and then take things one step at a time. And yeah.
One step at a time. Take things one step at a time, they say. I know that, is it both of you, is it you and Dion, where you got the award for Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu Award for Most Outstanding Female Contestants and the Newmont Award for Best Female Student. I want you, if Professor Mensah, and I'm sure you guys have read about her, right? So you know who she is. You know who Professor Mensah-Bonsu is, right? Yeah. Okay, so let me assume that she's watching you right now. What would you tell her? Do you have any message for her? Do you have any message for Newmont as well? Which of you wants to go, Vera or Nkunim or Dion? Which of you wants to start? Short messages for Professor Mensah-Bonsu. Assuming she's watching, I mean, she's one of the females who have risen very high in Ghana. She has a lot of respect. A lot of young people, women look up to her. What, is there a message you'd like to send across to her?
We'd like to extend our gratitude to her.
Okay, Dion wants to start. Okay, let's give the first word to her. Go ahead, Dion.
Thank you. We'd like to extend our thanks and our gratitude to her. She gave us the award actually meant a lot to us, because we thought that if we're just semi-finalists, we wouldn't really get recognition or anything, but she still managed to, I mean, the award managed to give us like some recognition, and I think the award I believe the award would also motivate other girls' schools and other girls to do better in the competition.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
So we'd like to.
Great. Do you have any, what about, you know, Newmont also gave you an award, Newmont Award for the best student. Any message for any of these sponsors?
Okay, I would like to thank Newmont for giving us the award, and they gave us some time with them. It was part of the package, so we were able to go and spend some time under a leadership training program. So we learned a lot, and I'd like to thank them and ask them to continue so that more girls be motivated to do their best.
Okay,
yes.
So the message is, and they're not really projecting for me, but it's okay. Message is they're grateful to Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu for the award, and to Newmont for the award, because then even though they didn't make it to the final, you know, the top, that they gave them a certain recognition, and they're saying that it means a lot to them. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that as well. But there's a question that my colleague put to the quiz mistress. He said, can there be some sort of affirmative action to give women or girls who come into the competition, you know, some I don't know the right way to put it together, to, you know, affirmative action to essentially make it a bit easier for women? Do you think that's a good idea? Is it even possible? Vera?
We've all been given the same platform, so I don't see it to be necessary, the affirmative action.
Okay, you, Nkunim?
I think it will further make people see women as a lesser, I don't know, but we should all be given the same platform as the men, and then prove ourselves, even no matter how long it takes.
I see. I like that. And you, Dion, before I take a quick soundbite, you, Dion, what do you think? Okay, I'm not sure if Dion can hear me, but I'd like for you to take a look at this. Well, when I come back, we'll wrap it all up.
Girls High School is represented by
Vera Sena Oti, final year.
Dion Mante, final year.
Last time I asked you about the frequency of the noise coming from your supporters. You didn't tell me. Have you figured it out? Anyway, we are reflecting. NSMQ 2019, what has it been like for you?
It's been full of surprises. Yes, and it's very interesting.
Okay, that's good. This contest, what are we expecting?
The very best.
I wish you well.
Dion, are you there? Looking back at the video, how does that make you feel?
Personally, I haven't watched any of the videos myself, so I know it brought back a lot of memories. I was very, very, very nervous that day. Like, I was internally shaking, so I just remembered how I felt at that point. Yeah.
So on you. What has changed? I mean, between then and now, apart from you moving to a new school, different level, what has changed? You become very popular. Are the guys worrying you?
Yeah. Right now, I see myself to be more confident. I take more risk generally, and yeah, it's generally confidence, taking risks, and not allowing people to determine what you can or can't do.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. And I asked if the guys that were worrying you. The last time when the guys came here, they said the girls were worrying them. Are they worrying you too?
No, they aren't.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that. You have no idea. I'm excited to hear that. Okay, let me come to studio. I want to start with you, Nkunim. Nkunim, what has changed between the last NSMQ and now? I mean, apart from the braids, what else has changed?
Okay, people tell me that I'm now more confident and more outspoken, and I think the whole journey helped that because you learn to take risks. So then I know how to speak out and speak my mind now because I'm pressing the bell and talking. So then it's making me more outspoken.
Yeah.
But then the other question.
The guys are not worrying you. Like in school, they're not worrying you. You're just,
I'm just cool.
You're just cool. Wow. I'm excited. I'm actually very excited. Vera, what's your story?
Yeah, the guys are not worrying me also.
Hey, I don't believe, now the two of you, I don't believe you. I only believe Dion because she said it first. It looks like you guys have copied and pasted, but I will leave it there. But what else has changed?
Oh yeah, I've become more confident. I take more risks.
Okay.
I've begun to take on leadership roles.
All leadership roles. So are you like the SRC? You're looking at the SRC or something? I used to be local NUC secretary when I was in GIJ.
Wow.
I love the politics of it, but I stopped.
Well, I can't really tell what the future holds, but maybe.
Maybe. Okay, I'll be glad and I'll be happy to support you if you decide to do that. So I understand today is your birthday. Happy birthday. I don't know if we have time. Can we sing a happy birthday? Okay, so Dion, you can join us to sing Vera a happy birthday. And all the way gay girls who are watching us, including my sister, who is by the way has left the school. She's in Ohio. Let's sing for Vera. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vera. Happy birthday to you. May God bless you now. May God bless you now. Don't cry. May God bless you now. May God bless you now. I hope we made it a special day for you. And I hope that a lot of girls who are watching us will be inspired. You will be confident. You will be risk takers. Most of us girls don't like taking risks, but we will be risk takers and we will be heading towards the future that we so desire. First-year BSc Computer Science student Dion-Marie Dakumante joined us from MIT in the United States of America. Dion, thank you for joining us. I'm sure we'll have some conversation at some other time. And Vera Sena Awote, whose birthday it is. She's a first-year medical student, University of Ghana. Another first-year medical student at the University of Ghana is Nkunim, who's also a part of the team that won the Mensa Bonsu, Professor Henrietta Mensa Bonsu Award for the most outstanding female contestant, a Newmont Award for the best female school. It's been exciting having you. I hope you've inspired people. I'm going to take a very quick break, but I'm not sure you have anything else to say. You don't. All right, bye for now. Take care, ladies. We're all so proud of you. Now, government says 12 hospital projects earmarked for construction in all regions across the country will cost 80 million euros instead of 71 being reported in the media. The sector minister has been on a working visit to various hospital projects initiated in the Ashanti region. He has cast forth for the construction of 5 40-bed capacity hospitals in the region to improve health delivery. Nana Asensu Mensah was on that tour and has this report.
The 5 40-bed capacity hospitals are expected to be completed in 36 months. It is expected to decongest Konfanochi and other major hospitals in the region. According to the minister, each of the facilities will cost 7 million euros. He was, however, worried with how cost of the 12 projects proposed to be constructed across the country has been quoted in the media.
We have a package of 12 of these hospitals. We borrowed money approved by the Parliament of Ghana through Cabinet, and we are executing 12 such facilities at 71 million euro. That is the cost. And then we have the insurance package of 8.6 million euro. So together, we have about 80 million for the 12. Each of them averagely cost 6.66 million, which is round about 7 million euro for the project. They took it for just one project, and that made that project unreasonably high, which was not correct. And that is what I try to seek to correct, the impression that has been created into the public domain. So it is just about 7 million per 1 euro, so that by 12, you can do your own multiplication.
The health minister gave assurances all hospital projects in the Ashanti region will be completed before the end of this year.
So when I come like this and you put you on the spot, it looks like I have to go and check through my notes. I mentioned a few in the Ashanti region. We have Tepa, we have Bekwai, we have Fomina, we have Korongo, we have Sewa. Quite a number of them all in the Ashanti region. I'm anticipating that we will complete a number of them to commission before we even get to the end of the year. Hopefully, yes.
Beneficiary communities include Sabronum Chadie Swami, Drobonso, and Manson Kwanta. Member of Parliament for Manson Kwanta, Joseph Albert Kwam, said the hospital will pave way for the construction of a nursing training college in the area.
This is a long success story. It started somewhere 12 June 2017 when I wrote a letter requesting for a hospital within my constituency. It has been a long journey. Currently, as we speak, last year, October 9th, President came here. I also outlined it as one of our challenges. Omaihene also laid it before the president, and I had to follow the project day and day out. And now and today, it has been a success.
Nana Asensu Mensah reporting.
And that'll be it for me for today. There is more news at myjoyonline.com if you do log on. Remember, when the countdown is on, 4 days to the National Science and Maths Quiz is brought to you by DBS and Bryce Senior High School, building dreams, shaping the future. My name is Gifty Ando Apia.